Unveiling the mysteries, ancient aliens, and the Nazi connection. Invading armies of almost invincible power. Incredible weaponry designed to both intimidate and annihilate. Secret experiments of an otherworldly nature. A lot of the information we've been told about the Second World War is wrong. Did Adolf Hitler, as some believe, base his plans for world domination on secret extraterrestrial knowledge? Were the Nazis seeking advanced technologies possessed by ancient civilizations? And did the German military develop an arsenal of so-called wonder weapons based on advanced alien technologies? Not only were they able to cancel out gravity, but they could also be manipulating time. Millions of people around the world believe we have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. What if it were true? Did ancient aliens really help shape our history? And if so, what was their connection to Hitler's Nazis and World War II? During the Second World War, Germany possessed the most technologically advanced military in the world. Weapons such as jet aircraft, precision bombers, and guided missiles, all designed with one purpose in mind: to help the Nazis and their leader, Adolf Hitler, blitzkrieg their way across Europe and create a Third Reich that would eventually rule the world. They developed two groundbreaking weapons: the V-1 buzz bomb, literally the first cruise missile, and the V-2, the first ballistic missile. The German rocket program was years ahead of any Allied nations. By the end of the war, they were developing the A-10, also known as the New York rocket, giving you an idea of their ambitions. They even had plans for what they called the Mars rocket, indicating their grandiose aspirations extended beyond Earth. Even to their enemies, German scientists were the envy of the world. But what was the source of their incredible achievements? Were they simply smarter than their counterparts in other countries? Did they receive more funding and resources for their research? Or were they, as some ancient astronaut theorists believe, guided by other, possibly extraterrestrial forces? Hitler was always saying that he had access to the most advanced technology, that the Nazis would prevail in World War II. It's a very important question to ask. What was giving Adolf Hitler the confidence to assert to masses of people that he was going to essentially take over the world? In his 1993 book, Secret Societies and Their Power in the 20th Century, author Jan van Helsing told the story of a strange crash in Germany's Black Forest that occurred in 1936, 3 years before the start of World War II. According to Van Helsing, residents near the small town of Freiburg woke up to what sounded like a massive plane crash. But when investigators examined the site, they found a strange, disc-shaped object, and inside were the remains of what appeared to be extraterrestrial beings. Van Helsing also claims that within hours of the crash, Hitler's SS troops took possession of the downed craft and its deceased crew, transporting it to their top-secret headquarters at Wewelsburg Castle. There, it is believed that Nazi scientists began the task of reverse engineering the technology found aboard the damaged craft. But is there any evidence that this extraterrestrial spaceship even existed? And would it have been possible to reverse engineer it? What exists are the reports of scientists who claim to have read analyses done on that craft and its propulsion system. The challenges in reverse engineering it would depend on the nature of the power source it used and how it worked. Because we are such an electronically based society, if it wasn't based on silicon electronics like ours, it might be very, very hard. But if it was close to what we did, then it would probably be pretty easy. According to reports discovered after the war, German scientists began experimenting with anti-gravity technologies shortly after the alleged discovery of the alien craft. One of these scientists was an Austrian inventor named Victor Schauberger. He was instrumental in discussing creative ways of using fluid motion to generate propulsion, much of it based on studying how animals move through water or air. He looked especially at trout standing still in a raging torrent and pondered how this fish could remain stationary in such a river. He theorized that it's not the animal itself, but the air or water moving the animal. A fish does not swim, it is swum. A bird does not fly, it is flown. So why can't we do this with machines? Move the air in a special way so that the vehicle is pulled, not pushed. Victor Schauberger developed a type of vortex engine, an artificial tornado, where vortex activity and gyroscopic activity could be harnessed with liquids such as water or mercury. My grandfather, Victor Schauberger, made significant inventions that may lead back to ancient times. This is the so-called repulsine. It was meant to be a propulsion system mounted in a submarine or an aircraft vertically to create a field Victor Schauberger called a biological vacuum, and the aircraft or submarine would be sucked into this field. The special shape of this device led to the story that Victor Schauberger is the inventor of flying saucers. At the time of its development, the repulsine's inverse propulsion system seemed revolutionary. But Victor Schauberger believed he had rediscovered an ancient technology. Victor also referred to old Indian texts where he read that these ancient peoples used some kind of flowing magnetism that allowed them to overcome gravity. According to early Sanskrit texts discovered in India, aircraft called vimanas used a similar propulsion system thousands of years ago. Is it possible that German scientists viewed ancient texts like the Bhagavad Gita not as legendary myth but as sources of historical and scientific fact? The Germans were the best Oriental scholars in the world. They translated ancient Sanskrit texts into German, and they studied these ancient Indian epics and were familiar with the ideas of vimanas. By combining that with vortex technology, and allegedly this crashed disk from 1936 in the Black Forest, they then came up with their designs for these flying saucers. In 1939, 3 years after the reported crash at Freiburg, German scientists developed their own flying saucer-shaped aircraft and called it the Haunebu. Early prototypes had a diameter of 25 meters and were manned by a crew of 8. The Haunebu was a classic flying saucer design with a dome and windows on the top and one large dome underneath. It was sort of contained ball lightning. It would produce electrons and positrons, and the positrons would migrate to the top of the sphere and levitate. Almost all my life, I've heard stories that the Nazis had obtained a flying saucer. I do believe the Nazis were in touch with non-human intelligences that gave them the advanced technology they developed right up to the end of the war. But how many in Hitler's regime actually believed in the existence of extraterrestrial beings? How close were they to the Führer, and how far did they go to make contact? Boxers, the swastika and the quest for otherworldly power. The swastika, a simple four-sided figure, is the ultimate symbol of Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime. But its origins reveal a much different message, one that dates back over 3,000 years. Swastika is a Sanskrit word from ancient India. It means mark of good fortune, and the same symbol is found not only in ancient India, but all over the world in many different ancient cultures, ranging from Egypt to Iran to the cultures of the Americas. During the 1930s, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party used the swastika to symbolize the Aryan race and its struggle for victory. But were the German leaders aware of the swastika's extraterrestrial connection? In the ancient Sanskrit texts, it is stated that the symbol of the swastika is connected with extraterrestrial beings such as the Hindu god Brahma. It's often used in worship in temples dedicated to extraterrestrial beings. The swastika turns up in the legends of indigenous peoples all around the world. The theory was that it was a magical symbol given to these indigenous peoples by extraterrestrials, and that by using this symbol, it could ward off enemies, ward off evil, give them the power to not only survive, but become supreme. Did Hitler choose the swastika as the symbol of the Nazi Party because of its extraterrestrial connections? Did he believe in aliens from other worlds? It is known that Hitler surrounded himself with those who believed in extraterrestrial beings and ancient advanced civilizations. He was obsessed with ancient mythology and the occult, and more importantly, with trying to gain knowledge that he believed he could muster before anybody else could. He spent an inordinate amount of time, energy, and money all over the planet to try to get information about things that would give Germany an upper hand. One of the main groups advising the Nazi leadership was a secret society known as the Vril. Members are said to have included the commander of the SS, Heinrich Himmler, Air Force Commander Hermann Göring, and the head of the Nazi Party, Martin Bormann. The Vril Society took their name from a 19th century book written by Edward Bulwer-Lytton called The Coming Race. In it, Bulwer-Lytton describes a powerful master race and an ancient mystical energy form known as Vril that could be tapped and controlled. The Vril Society in Germany took their name from this force, this universal force, which in Sanskrit is known as prana. Just like an engineer can use electricity to either heat a room or cool a room or make sound or do so many other things, it's one energy, but it can be manifested in different ways. The Vril Society believed that this Vril power could power machines and devices, and they wanted to use it for aircraft, disc-shaped flying saucers, according to their beliefs. The Vril could tap into this energy because they considered themselves the direct descendants of extraterrestrials from the Aldebaran solar system who had come to Earth in the distant past. Members of this pure master race were known as Aryans. They believed that Aryans descended from a race of ETs, and these ETs imbued this Aryan race with tremendous power and meant for them to be the master race on Earth. That was, in part, the justification for the Nazi political party to establish Aryan supremacy on the planet. When the Nazi Party swept into power in 1933, the Vril encouraged Hitler and his henchmen to fund a worldwide search for ancient alternative technologies. German scientists and researchers scoured the planet for ancient texts and relics, such as the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant. According to legend, these biblical artifacts contained powerful energies that could be harnessed and used as weapons. The Ark of the Covenant was said to be a wooden box overlaid in gold. The Israelites revered this box because it represented God. It is said to possess tremendous power. Whoever touched it dies. Any army that marches with the Ark of the Covenant can defeat any other army. This is part of the lore and the legend of the Ark of the Covenant. But did Hitler really believe these tales to be true? Did he view the Bible as a history book? When you see movies like Indiana Jones, which focus on these secret Nazi occult expeditions around the world to find the Ark of the Covenant, or the Spear of Destiny, or some secret libraries and aliens, while those movies are fiction, they're very much based on truth. Hitler was obsessed with trying to find the Ark of the Covenant. It was far more important, I think, than just some religious belief. I think the Ark of the Covenant had a function, whatever it might have been. In the book of Exodus, there's a detailed description of the Ark of the Covenant,